Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and this is the Honda CR-V. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. We really have this on the channel again, but this time it's all-wheel drive. So as usual, we'll start here at the front. Obviously, I have done a full review of the plug-in hybrid version of this, so if you want a more specific look at any of the styling features, this is styled the same, but I'll quickly point out, very bluff front end, big badge with your radar gubbins in it, nice chrome strip up here to lift everything, and then a big old long bonnet, but it's only a 4-cylinder engine under here, and then a lot of electronic wizardry. But let's see what's going on down the side. So the key thing here at the side, as far as I'm concerned, is the wheels. They're 18 inches, but that's not the important bit. Look at these sidewalls. This is a car that's been designed by rational people who understand that the world is a difficult place full of potholes and curbs and many other obstacles, and maybe you don't want to break your spine when you go over any of them. So it's got proper wheels on it. It's also lovely and blue and very, very big. There's chrome around the place and some bars up here at the top. But I'm now going to go to the back. So around here is where we finally start seeing some differences between this and the other model. So it's an HEV, not an PHEV, and it's all-wheel drive. Now this leads on to another thing, which I have to open the boot for. Electric tailgate, and just like before, a huge amount of very square space in here. Nice, wide opening, good depth as well. But as I lift up the floor, you find less space than in the other model, which might seem odd because obviously that has a bigger battery, but what that doesn't have is a rear motor, which is taking space up here. So you get a kind of cubby hole and obviously your tyre repair kit, but what you don't get is that kind of extra wide section of loading that you got in the other car. There is still a huge amount of space though. I don't think you'll be missing it too badly. Lots of good features in here. There's a subwoofer, there's little hooks to put things on, there's a 12-volt socket, and there's some tie-down points as well. You can't lower the seats from the back, but you can sit in them. So let's go and do that now. You know what? They're very good to sit in. I do feel quite upright right now, but I can adjust the reclinedness of my seat. Should I wish, you can actually sit like this with it locked in position if you want, but probably somewhere around here is about right. Headroom, surprisingly tight, but these seats are elevated quite a long way off the floor. I can kind of see down over the driver, and actually I do just about have enough headroom, and also there is a panoramic sunroof, which might explain why it's a little bit more cramped than you'd expect, but there is still plenty of room for me. Lots of knee room as well, good wide seat, nice and flat, pretty flat floor. You would fit 3 adults in here, though it might be a bit tight on shoulder room. Features, I've got air vents, I've got 2 USB-Cs, I've got big seat back pockets, I've obviously got Isofix, although the covers pull away and you might lose them. And also, I have a roof-mounted centre seat belt, which is slightly inconvenient, but obviously the outside ones are where you'd expect them to be, and they're height adjustable, which is quite uncommon in the back of a car. But if you're very tall or very short, that's probably very handy. Nice big door pockets as well. I've got heated seats in this model on these outer seats also. And the material itself is a nice leather, perforated in the centres. All in all, a very pleasant place to sit. But how is it in the front? Up here, it's even better. Now, both of these front seats are electric, and I find it incredibly easy to get them just in the right place. The whole cabin, the whole car, I feel is oriented around comfort and being comfortable to be in for a long time. So the seating position is spot on. I've got loads of room, loads of shoulder room, loads of knee room. This is in just the right place. I've got a nice soft armrest here as well. Steering wheel's the right size. And then there's just lots of nice simplicity in this cabin. 2 digital screens, both of them have plenty of functionality. I can choose what I have on either side of the gauge cluster. This is just your conventional infotainment display, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Got plugs down here for it, USB-A to plug it in, USB-C charging port, 12-volt charging port, wireless charger as well. I've got physical climate controls, that's really nice, heated and cooled seats. And then loads of practical storage as well. So I've got 2 cup holders here and a little pen drawer. The key goes in there as well. There's a kind of space, a tray around where the wireless charger is. I've got a huge center console storage area with a little shelf in it if you want to separate out some change, for example. I've got a nice big damped glove box, and I've got huge door pockets with cutouts for a bottle in them as well. And here's my favourite bit, a sunglasses holder that then turns into a sort of CCTV mirror for your back seats to check that your children are not up to no good. I love the air vent design. There's this big kind of open grille with the air vents in it that carries through the dashboard. And also in here I've got a lovely Bose sound system, and that is very nice indeed. But I think that's probably the cabin covered off. So let's go for a drive. Okay, so driving the CR-V EHEV. It actually has figures pretty much identical to the plug-in hybrid. So it's 181 brake horsepower, roughly 140 pounds-feet of torque, and roughly 9.5 seconds to 62, which might seem odd because one has all-wheel drive and the other doesn't, but actually this ends up being slightly lighter because it doesn't have the batteries, which is how you end up with them being the same. But I think the main thing to get into is what versus the PHEV makes this the car to buy. So obviously the first benefit is all-wheel drive, which will make you feel more secure on the road in inclement conditions. If you live somewhere where it snows, or if the road gets very muddy part of the year, it will be nice to have that. This is not a proper off-roader. This is very much a crossover. This isn't an off-road 4x4 system. You do get hill descent control, and you do get a snow setting on your traction control as well, but you won't be going up against any Land Rovers. What you get on the PHEV is a second gear on your electric motor, which makes it better for towing. So I suppose if you want to tow more stuff, you would look at that ahead of this model, though really if you want to tow a lot of stuff, you probably want to look at a diesel crossover, of which there are very few left, but they do still exist. And I would probably recommend one of them for anyone who actually needs to tow something on a regular basis. If you just have a caravan, you move about once a year, you'll probably still be able to do that in this. The other thing is economy. Theoretically, you'll get better economy from a plug-in hybrid, provided that it's charged. So that's a big if, as far as I'm concerned. So yes, if you say have a 5-mile commute and you charge up at home every night on an Eco 7 tariff for very, very little money, you could theoretically run this car for weeks at a time without ever engaging the petrol engine and spend vanishingly small amounts of money doing that. And that's great. But I fear in the real world, this might be the better compromise, because unless that really is your very specific use case, this does better than the PHEV does with a flat battery on economy. I've been getting better MPG from this than I got from a drained battery on the plug-in, which means if you do longer journeys, this is the car to get. And also, you don't have to worry about the hassle of plugging it in. And also, it gets good economy full stop. So it kind of doesn't matter how much better the PHEV could be theoretically. If you could stomach getting north of 40 mpg in a massive crossover with a huge boot and space for 5 people, which I know I could. I only get mid-40s from my 1-litre Dacia Jogger, and I think that's pretty good for a car of that size. This is a bigger car, fewer seats I know, but a bigger car overall, and it's doing just as well. It's a Honda, so you also get lots of technology. You get Smart Cruise, you get Auto Steer. I really like the Auto Steer in this car. Number one, it keeps you very centre in the lane. Sometimes coming out of a long sweeping bend, it'll drift you back over towards one line or the other a little bit, but in general, it's spot on. And it's capable of understanding that my hands are still on the wheel, even if I'm not applying a turning force to the wheel. I just have to be touching the wheel, and it doesn't ask me to do anything. too many cars say, you're not touching the wheel while I'm sitting there holding it. This doesn't, it just works. Obviously, the radar cruise is radar cruise. It's spot on as well. Doesn't accelerate too aggressively. Lovely stuff. For a long journey, this car is spot on. This is the drivetrain to have for said long journey. I've got loads of space in the interior. I've got loads of practicality. It's not fast, but it's enough. 9.5 seconds is quick enough for a family vehicle. And I don't feel lacking for power. If I put my foot down, there we go. Now, one final thing to talk about is actually how this powertrain works, which we do in every Honda video because it seems like the rest of the world doesn't understand. This, to an extent, doesn't have a gearbox in a conventional sense. It doesn't have a CVT, it doesn't have a set of gears. There is one clutched lockup gear, and otherwise you have the engine working as a generator to drive an electric motor that can obviously drive direct from the battery, from the engine as a generator, or you can get the lockup gear engaged at higher speeds, because at higher speeds a petrol engine is more efficient than an electric drive, but at lower speeds electricity is more efficient to turn the petrol into forward motion. So Honda have this really, really clever system by which it's always using the petrol to maximum efficiency, and it really does work. You get stunning economy out of this car. It's still plenty fast enough, and they've done a very good job of making the engine not too intrusive, because the downside of this system is the engine can end up sounding like it would in a CVT car, hence why they refer to it as an eCVT. That's sort of the vibe you end up getting as a driver, but actually they've engineered gear shifts into this, so you're not getting constant rev hang, which can be quite irritating. The engine itself isn't terribly vocal. It's only once your foot is fully on the floor that you can really hear it. At a cruise, the engine turns on and off completely seamlessly. You don't feel it. It's really, really impressive. I'm a keen driver generally, and I've found it completely unobtrusive while I've had the car for the week. What is a little obtrusive are the safety warnings. This car likes to beep. I don't know if there's a way to turn them down, but at the moment it beeps every time that it locks onto the car in front when you've got the radar cruise on. It beeps anytime something's approaching from one side at a junction or at a roundabout, even if you're not accelerating forwards. I feel it's a little over eager. I would understand those beeps occurring if I was doing something wrong as a driver, not paying attention, whatever else, but it just doing them all the time when there's stuff happening means that I end up blocking them out and they kind of lose their usefulness, if you see what I mean. Overall though, I am so happy with this car. I think it hits the nail on the head and it fixes a couple of the issues I had with the PHEV. But let's go back and do a proper conclusion. So, the Honda CR-V EHEV, the normal one, not the PHEV. Do I think it's a good car? Yes. Just like the other one, this is an excellent car. It's supremely comfortable. It gets good economy. If you need a big car for all your things to go on a long journey in, this is excellent. I also think that if you need a car like that, get this one, not the PHEV. The PHEV works really well if you spend a lot of time doing short journeys, say you have a really short commute, and sometimes you have to go a long way. This is economical all of the time. You don't have to worry about charging it up, and you have the added security of all-wheel drive. So this is the pick of the range for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. You'll find all the links in the description to all of our social medias. Please go and follow us there. You'll also find 2 ways that you can support the channel. So we have merchandise, which you can buy and put on your body. And we also have channel memberships right here on YouTube. So please go and do one or all of those things, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.